Anybody ever in here ever tried to go on a diet? 1, 2, 3 people, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, me. I did a bunch of them, so I'll just put all my. Okay, so a lot of people in here have tried a diet. Can somebody tell me like what diets they tried? You ever tried a diet before?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, counting calories is kind of a bummer. Who has the time, right? What did you do?
What's the Atkins diet?
The Atkins diet, it's what she did over here. So it's the low carb diet. You try that one?
Oh no, I didn't know.
No? What about you?
I did, but because I was trying to gain weight, so I was always eating like the mashed potatoes.
A weight gainer over here is trying to gain weight. That's good.
So I was eating everything like had to do with like Thanksgiving Day. I was eating mashed potatoes and chicken and stuff like that.
Trying to put on weight. So you have fast metabolism. Don't hate her, everybody.
Just kidding.
You know what the great news is I am a firm believer. Now, this isn't a scientifically proven study, so I don't really say this on, I do say this on TV, actually, because I don't care. They can take me off if they want. But the bottom line is, I'm a firm believer that every single person can heal their metabolism. Now, I tell my clients, listen, don't be a square peg trying to fit into a round hole. Don't, like I said, don't compare yourself to others. Stay in your own lane. Be the best, what's your name? Be the best Eileen that you can be. Don't try to be her or me or Bridget. Just be the best Eileen that you can be. That's the best way to do it, so that you're only measuring yourself up against yourself. So every day when you go through your day and the way you deal with people, the way you think about yourself, the way you eat, the way you exercise, if you can evaluate at the end of the day, at night when you're going to sleep, you know what, I did really great in all those areas. That is the goal. Because you continue to do that, and then you're going to see success in every area of your life. It's not just about food. But basically, this is a list of the symptoms of hypoglycemia. Can you guys see them? So it's headaches, fatigue, lack of concentration, irritability, mood swings, lightheadedness, dizziness, feeling shaky, caffeine cravings, carbohydrate cravings, the sugar cravings, which are always the hardest for me, and hunger. So hypoglycemia is low blood sugar. So what happens when we become hypoglycemic is we probably did not eat any sugar for over 4 hours, okay? And the reason why our body becomes hypoglycemic is our brain and our nervous system, two very important things, function on one kind of fuel. Does anybody know what kind of fuel the brain and nervous system function on? Magic. I know Bridget knows, but what?
It's magic.
Magic? Functions on glucose. Where does glucose come from?
Sugar, which is magic.
This, the fruit. Okay, so glucose comes from carbohydrates, and carbohydrates are, does anybody know what carbohydrates are? Give me some carbs.
Potatoes, pasta,
Yeah.
spaghetti.
Yes. So, but also, thank you. So fruits, vegetables, breads, grains, cereals, those are all carbohydrates. Away from carbs. Now, why would you restrict carbs when your brain and nervous system only function on that for fuel? Does that make any sense? So when you don't eat carbs and you're on the Atkins diet or a low-carb diet, this is the stuff that you're going to be feeling. Did you feel any of this? We make bad decisions when we're feeling bad, right?
Yeah.
We just, because life doesn't go good. Yeah.
My mom has low blood sugar,
That's what this is.
and so she gets like headaches and she gets really shaky, and then when she's driving, she like forgets where she is, and she kind of like and then she gets really tired and.
So she's waited too long between meals, and her brain and her nervous system.
My mom never eats.
That's the problem. So the brain and nervous system, what do they function on?
Glucose.
So I like to teach people to combine the protein with the carb, so you can have any kind of carb you want. This is really kind of small, so I'll make sure everybody sees it. This is my little picture. I kind of drew this on my computer. I'm not an artist, can you tell? So this is fat tissue right here. This is a bloodstream. I call this the blood sugar free. We talked a lot about carbs. We know they fuel the brain and nervous system, right? Something else really important. The brain and nervous system needs a certain amount of glucose, which comes from carbs, every 3 to 4 hours. It doesn't matter how many carbs you eat for breakfast. I can have 5 bowls of cereal, okay? Lots of sugar, lots of sugar, lots of sugar. The brain and nervous system are only going to take what they need. Anything extra, going to send it back through the bloodstream. What's going to happen then is there's a hormone. The hormone is called insulin. Insulin, just to make it simple for today, let's think of insulin. Insulin is like a delivery truck, okay, for glucose. So if you think of insulin as like a FedEx truck, okay? And we know a FedEx truck goes up and down our streets in our neighborhoods, and then the guy stops, he knocks at the door, and we open, and we're like, oh, you have a package, okay, great, I'll take it. Or he knocks at the door, and you're like, I don't want that package, that's not mine, just keep going, right? Same thing with insulin. So insulin's like our FedEx truck, okay, we see in the neighborhood, and inside of that FedEx truck, there's little packages, right? The packages inside of insulin are glucose. So insulin's job is to drive around inside of our body and go to cells and deliver little bits of glucose to cells throughout our body, because cells need glucose for energy. Following? Okay? But what happens if all the cells have all the energy they need from glucose, and the cells don't open up anymore and don't receive the package from the Mr. Insulin FedEx truck? What happens?
Poop it up.
It goes stored as fat. So there's my little picture of the fat tissue right there. So too many carbs in a meal, insulin will go and try to deliver glucose to cells, and all the cells will take them, but then if there's extra, it goes stored as fat. So too many carbs in a meal, not good. But we definitely need carbs to fuel the brain and nervous system, right? Well, what happens on the act? You're just eating protein, or you're not eating anything at all. What happens is the body's really, really cool. What it does, and I love biology so much. So are you guys in biology class?
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys are probably more sharp on your biology than me. Who knows? But basically, all of our cells are storing glucose. Muscle tissue and liver tissue are very rich in glucose because they have in there what they call glycogen stores and glycogen cells. Has anybody heard about glycogen in biology class? No. Okay, so you guys know what glycogen is? Sugar. The name changed from carbs when it was outside as fruit. When it went into the body, it turned into glucose. What happened? Something happened. Okay, something fun happened. Well, carbohydrates, when they're out here, right, before we eat them, inside the body becomes glucose. Insulin then goes to delivers glucose to cells, okay? Cells either take it or they don't. Muscle tissue and liver tissue will take glucose, and they store it. And when it's stored in muscle tissue and liver tissue, it's called glycogen. Just the name changes. I don't know why. They should just call it sugar or just carbs or something, but they keep changing the name. Same thing, though. It's sugar, and it's in our muscle tissue and liver tissue, so that when we wait longer than 4 hours to eat, or when your mom doesn't eat all day, the body has to go and break down muscle tissue and liver tissue, get the sugar out of those tissues to fuel the brain and nervous system. Now, I know most people think, without any education in this area, they seem to think when they starve, the body breaks down fat. And guess what? It's the last thing it breaks down. So what it breaks down when you're waiting between meals, you're not eating any food, you're not eating carbs, the body's breaking down muscle tissue and liver tissue first. Let me. So they're like, we're doing skinny chicks don't eat salads. I'm like, I'm so mad at this whole low carb thing because it's so not healthy. But let's talk about fat and muscle really quick. So muscle tissue, which stores glycogen, which is sugar, okay, the brain and nervous system, if we're not fueling it by eating the food, we're going to break down muscle tissue and liver tissue. But does anybody know a thing or two about muscle tissue in here? Any of the students? You guys know anything about muscle tissue and how it relates to metabolism? So muscle tissue and liver tissue dictate a large percentage of how fast our metabolism is, okay? The more muscle tissue we have, the faster our metabolism. The less muscle tissue we have, the slower. So what I do in my office and with this book here is I teach people how to heal their metabolism and speed it up. It's important to cleanse it and make sure it's healthy and happy. And there's certain types of cleansing you can do and certain kind of foods you can give your body that will actually help your liver get healthier. But the worst thing you could do by far is to starve yourself and not eat. That makes the liver not happy. It makes the body not happy. Your body's only going to take what it needs. Anything extra goes stored as fat. So even with proteins and fats on the bloodstream, okay, you want to make sure that you're eating the right amount of carbs. What's the right amount of carbs? You got to listen to your body. I tell people usually you want to do like 1 part protein, 2 part carbs. Okay? So if you have, a palm size of chicken breast, you might want to do 2 palm sizes, or your hand like this of rice, because then you'll use that energy. But normally, I like my clients to balance out their blood sugar levels. Guess what happens when you balance out blood sugar levels? You eat a protein with a carb. First of all, it's not like sugar hitting, the bloodstream going fast, just like getting on the 405 in a Ferrari with no cars in the way, just zipping down. That's not good because, boom, we have fat storage at the end of the day if we get a bunch of sugar. Blood sugar is stable. This is the medical definition. What happens there, we know through research, thanks to Dr. Ludwig, is the body's burning about 50% fat and 50% sugar 24 hours a day if the person's blood sugar levels are in this range. Okay? It's very close to the zone. So what you're going to see in my book is 50% carbs. So if you look at your plate, half your plate is carbs. Okay? Another quarter of it is lean protein. The other quarter of it is what I call free foods. So veggies.